Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Blight here to bring you another deck profile, and the one I chose for you today are Constellar. They're a group of light monsters that specialize in Xyz summoning, and with them you can summon anything from rank 3s to rank 6, but most of the time you'll be focusing on the rank 5s and the rank 4s. Also, they're based on zodiac signs, which is kinda cool. So without further ado, let's begin the deck profile. First up we have 3 Constellar Pollux. This is the twin brother of Evil Swarm Castor, so their effects are pretty much the same. During the turn he's normal summoned, you gain an extra normal summon of a Constellar monster. This card is also immune to Effect Veiler and Fiendish Chain in the sense that all you need to do is summon Pollux and you get the extra normal summon. So yeah, he's also a 1700 attack warrior monster, meaning we can easily search him out with Rhoda, and this is the guy we want on our first turn because he gets most of the plays going. Next up we have our level modifier, which is Constellar Kaus, a beast warrior, level 4 also, with the following effect. Just a second. Cannot be used as a synchro material monster. Up to twice per turn, you can target one Constellar monster on the field and activate one of these effects, increase its level by 1 or reduce its level by 1. So by using costs, you can make anything from rank 3 to rank 5, or technically you can even make rank 6 monsters with 2 costs or with a cost that remains on the field for more than 1 turn. But most of the time, like I said, you'll be going for the rank 5s. The standard play in the Constellar is you would normal summon Pollux, gain the extra normal summon costs, make them both level 5, and then go for their boss monster, which is Constellar Pleiades, one of the best rank 5 monsters in the game. Kaus is a 1800 attack beast warrior, which is very decent for any level 4 monster, and you can easily search him out with Tenki, and then Tenki would actually give him 100 more attack, making him a 1900 beatstick. So yeah. With Tenki and Rhoda being at 3 each, it becomes a lot easier to pull off both Pollux and Kaus on your first turn. So yeah. Next up we have another level 4 monster, Constellar Algiedi. This is Pollux's not so useful cousin. Her effect is when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 Constellar monster from your hand. So basically she does the same thing as Pollux, except she is vulnerable to Effect Veiler, Fiendish Chain, or anything that can stop her effect. Since her effect has to activate, it's not like automatic such as Pollux. That is the reason why I play 2. Next up, their best level 4 monster, Constellar Sombre. An amazing effect. Once per turn, you banish a Constellar monster from your graveyard to add a Constellar monster from your graveyard to your hand. And then if you use this effect, you can activate her other effect, which is normal summon one Constellar monster. So basically how this works is you banish something from the graveyard, add one Constellar monster to your hand, and then you get the extra normal summon. This also stacks up with Pollux, so if you have Pollux in your hand, you can use Sombre's effect to normal summon Pollux, and then you gain an extra normal summon from Pollux, and then you can summon another monster, and if that monster happens to be Algiedi, then she can special summon a Constellar from your hand, and the end result would be 4 Constellar monsters in 1 turn. But most of the time you'll be using her to just do standard Xyz play, since she is your 1 card XYZ. By adding back costs from the graveyard to the hand and summoning costs, you can once again go into Pleiades or any level 5, any rank 5 or rank 4 monster you wish. She's a fairy, so we cannot search her out. That would be amazing, but yeah. Definitely play her at 3, she's the best level 4 monster. Next up, the non-Constellar monsters, we have one Thunder King Rai-oh. He is limited to 1, but for good reason. While he's on the field, neither player can add cards from his or her deck to their hand, except by drawing them. So this effect alone locks a lot of decks, like Necros, and anything that searches really. And also Thunder King Rai-oh has an additional effect, and that is if your opponent would special summon a monster, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard, negate the special summon, and destroy it. Now this sounds overpowered, but in reality you cannot negate absolutely every special summon. You can only negate the ones that are inherent. And what does this mean? It means you can negate an Xyz summon, a Synchro summon, or something like Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, who can special summon himself. So basically special summons that do not start a chain. You cannot negate a fusion summon with Polymerization or Shaddoll Fusion or something like that with Thunder King Rai-oh, or a ritual summon. So keep that in mind. Next up, since most of our monsters are light, we have 2 Honest. Honest is an amazing card, and I'm so glad he's back to 2. Basically, during either player's damage step, you send them from the hand to the graveyard, and then your monster gains the attack of the monster it is battling. And you can also stack 2 Honest to get maximum damage. So yeah, with this you don't have to worry about your Constellars being destroyed by battle most of the time. And also you can use it to finish up the game or go over some menacing monster, whatever you feel like. Also, you can summon Honest, attack, and then return him to the hand. It's also an additional effect he has that most people don't realize. Once per turn during your main phase, you can return him this face-up monster from the field back into your hand, if you need it so. And the only non-light monster in the deck, Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Bear. He's there because we have 3 Tenkis, and you can do the famous Tenki Bear pop, which is the combination where you search out Bear with the Tenki, summon Bear, use his effect to send Tenki to the graveyard, pop a monster, and then attack directly, and then Bear will be able to set another Tenki from your deck to the field. Keep in mind you can only activate 1 Tenki per turn, so yeah. That is it for the monsters. There's 15 monsters in this build that I play. I feel like that's enough. Next up we have the spell cards. Like I said, 3 Rhoda. This helps us search out Pollux and gets our first turn plays going. A great card for any warrior deck or any deck that uses warrior monsters, and I hope it stays at 3. Next we have 3 Tenki, like I mentioned. Unlike Rhoda, you can only use one. You can only activate 1 Fire Formation Tenki per turn, so keep that in mind. It's also a continuous spell card. Now, what does this mean? If your opponent has a Mystical Space Typhoon and you activate this, like any continuous spell card, it needs to remain face up to resolve. So if your opponent hits this with MST, you're not going to get the searching effect. Whilst Rhoda is a normal spell card, and you have no such issue with Rhoda. So yeah. But as a little extra bonus, Fire Formation Tenki adds 100 attack to all Beast Warrior monsters. So that is Constellar Kaus, Fire Fist Bear, and one of the Exceed monsters we'll be covering later on, which is Constellar Omega. Next up, some back row removal in the form of triple MST. This is just player preference. You can play 2 and put something else instead of the 3rd one, but I prefer to have 3 in the deck because Constellars are all about field control, and once you get your things going, you don't want them to stop. So yeah, that is what I play. 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, and I complement this with 2 Forbidden Lands. A very versatile card. It's a quick play card. Target 1 face-up monster in the field until the end phase. That target loses 800 attack, but it is unaffected by the effects of other spells and traps. So you can use this for offensive and defensive purposes to save your Constellar Pleiades or whatever monster you have from being destroyed by a spell or trap. You can also have use this during the damage step to have one of your opponent's monster lose 800 attack and crash into one of your monsters. Whatever you need at the moment, lands can do. So it's a great card to use, and a fun card at that. Next, the one of the best quick play spell cards in the game, Book of Moon. The card that has so many uses. Target 1 face-up monster on the field, change that target to face-down defense position. You can use this to stop your opponent from synchro summoning by flipping their tuner or non-tuner face down. You can also stop them from exceed summoning. What you can also do is, for example, if your monster ends up being targeted by something like Fiendish Chain or Effect Veiler, for example, you can flip them face down and then their effects would not be negated. So yeah, there's a lot of uses for Book of Moon, also for flip monsters, whatever. But we don't have any in this deck, so it's mostly there to annoy your opponent. Next up, Raigeki. No explanation needed, simple and effective. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Nowadays, destruction doesn't really mean that much like it did in the past, but still, it's a nice way to clear your opponent's field. And last but not least, we have 1 Soul Charge. Soul Charge is similar to Monster Reborn, except you can special summon only from your graveyard, but you can special summon as many monsters as you want. However, you pay 1000 life points for each monster that you summon, and you cannot conduct your battle phase during the turn you activate this card. But if you remember, Sombre has an awesome effect, so most of the time you can only bring back her and you could still get things going, or you can just bring back two monsters like Pollux and Kaus and take it from there. So you don't have to worry about soul charges cost too much in this deck, because you only need one or two cards to get your strategies going. That is it for the spells. There are 14 spells in this build. And now on to the traps. An amazing trap for this deck, Xyz Reborn. Also a very difficult card to get because it's a secret rare from an older set. This is how it works. Target one Xyz monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and attach this card to it as an Xyz material. So this deck completely revolves around Xyz summoning, so having the ability to just instantly special summon an Xyz monster from your graveyard and have it gain an Xyz material is just amazing. So you can use this as MST bait, like your opponent targets this with MST, you just chain it, you bring back your Pleiades, attach this as material, and then you can use Pleiades' effect again, or you can just use it during their end phase when they set a monster or a spell. The possibilities are endless, and this card is amazing, but you don't really need more than one because you're going to be Xyz summoning a lot, so you don't want to overclog your back row with this. Next up, double Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain and Effect Veiler are player preferences. I myself prefer Fiendish Chain simply because it stops your opponent's monster from attacking, and sometimes you need this in this deck because Constellar are not as fast as most current meta decks, so sometimes you want your Constellar Kaus to be able to remain on the field for one turn, so you could then perform the Xyz summon during your following turn. So yeah, that is why I played Fiendish Chain instead of Effect Veiler. 2 is just enough for me. And now an awesome card that was banned forever but is now back with an errata text, Ring of Destruction. Now what is different about Ring of Destruction is now you can only target your opponent's monster, you cannot destroy your own monster. And the opponent's monster that you target must have an attack that is equal to or less than their life points. Meaning if my opponent, for simplicity's sake, has 2500 life points, I cannot destroy their Blue Eyes White Dragon because Blue Eyes has 3000 attack, but I can destroy their Dark Magician and finish the game. So this is how basically Ring of Destruction works. You use it to remove one of your opponent's monsters and burn them for the damage. Keep in mind, first you take the damage and then they take the damage. So that can sometimes be very important because you don't want to kill yourself with the Ring of Destruction. Next up, I play one Mirror Force and one Dimensional Fissure. Both of these cards are very good. This one targets, when your opponent's monster attacks, you target the attacking monster and banish it. And Mirror Force, I'm sure you all know, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you destroy all their face-up attack position monsters. Some people prefer to Mirror Forces, some prefer to D Prisons. I like to have one of each for versatility, so yeah. Next up, one Vanity's Emptiness, an amazing card and a very deadly card because it can stop most most metagame decks in their tracks. Neither player can special summon monsters. If a card is sent from the deck or the field to your graveyard, destroy this card. This card is simply amazing, and what's good about this card in this particular deck is you have the ability to bounce it back with Pleiades. The effect that destroys Vanity's Emptiness starts a chain. So what does this mean? I'm going to give you a situation. Let's say you have Pleiades on the field, you have Vanity's Emptiness, and your opponent destroys one of your monsters by battle or, I don't know, by a spell or trap. Vanity's Emptiness would then start a chain to destroy itself. But you can then chain Pleiades' effect and bounce Vanity's Emptiness back into your hand and then just reactivate it during your next turn. You can also bounce it back to your hand during your own turn, which would allow you to special summon and then just reset the Vanity's Emptiness and activate it again during your opponent's turn and prevent them from special summoning. So you have several options how to keep Vanity's Emptiness on the field in this deck. Next up we have the staple traps. One Compulsory Evacuation device. Bounces a monster on the field back into the hand. Simple and effective. One Solemn Warning. Negate a normal or special summon of a monster or a spell or trap card that would summon a monster by paying 2000 life points. Bottomless Trap Hole. When your opponent summons a monster with 1500 or more attack, you destroy it and banish it. And Torrential Tribute. When a monster is summoned, destroy all monsters on the field. The Constellar have an Xyz monster called Constellar Omega, which protects them from spells and traps. So by using Omega and Torrential Tribute, you can clear your opponent's monsters while protecting your Constellar monsters. So keep that in mind. There are a total of 11 traps in this deck, which is sort of trap heavy, but I prefer it that way, at least in this deck. I feel that they need the extra back row. And now, time for the fun part, the extra deck. First up we have their boss monster, Constellar Pleiades. An infamous card, requires 2 level 5 light monsters to summon. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card to target one card on the field, return that target to the hand. So this is basically a compulsory evacuation device on legs, which can also target spells or traps. Needless to say, this card can be extremely disruptive, not letting your opponent special summon anything, bouncing back their normal summon monsters, their back row, whatever you need at the moment, Pleiades can do. Also, he has 2500 attack points, which is very decent, that being the standard norm. And in this deck, you can also use his effect to bounce some of your traps, like I said, Vanity's Emptiness and Fiendish Chain back into your hand and reuse them. Now, onto the next Constellar monster, Constellar Omega. I play 2 copies, but you can cut this down to 1. This is basically filler until I get some of the other staples, such as Exciton Knight. Constellar Omega is a beast warrior, 2400 attack. Requires 2 level 4 light monsters, so you can also summon him using Thunder King Rai-oh if you so need. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you detach one XYZ material, and then all Constellar monsters you control become unaffected by spells and traps. This is basically their own version of Infestation Pandemic, if you know how the evil swarms work. So this is very similar, and it's a great effect. A quick effect, you can just chain it onto any spell and trap your opponent activates. They can then proceed to chain something else and destroy it, but then again they would lose 2 spells or traps and you would only lose 1 monster, which is great. So Omega offers you the much needed protection to keep your Pleiades on the field and maintain field control, and is overall a very great card to use. Next up we have their beater, which is Constellar Praesepe, 2400 attack, requires 2 level 4 Constellar monsters. Basically what he does is, during either player's turn, when a Constellar monster battles, you detach one XYZ material and that monster gains 1000 attack during that damage calculation only. So basically if he uses it on himself, he goes up to 3400, which is amazing and can go over a lot of things in the current meta. Next up, the last Constellar monster and their big boss monster, Constellar Ptolemy M7. Requires 2 level 6 monsters to summon, but most of the time this is not the method you'll be using to summon him, because in order to do a summon with 2 level 6 monsters, you would have to have 2 Kaus or a Kaus and any other Constellar that would remain on the field for 2 turns, because then Kaus would be able to up their level to 6 during your following turn. The method you summon Ptolemy most commonly is you just overlay it over any other Constellar Xyz monster. It can be Omega, Praesepe, Pleiades, whatever. You just put Ptolemy over them and that is how you summon him. His effect is once per turn you detach one XYZ material to target a monster on the field or in either player's graveyard and return it to the hand. Meaning you can reuse your Sombre, your Kaus, Pollux, whatever you need, or you can just plain old bounce their monsters back into their hand. The thing is, if you summon Ptolemy using the aforementioned method where you just overlay on top of any other Constellar, you cannot use his effect during that turn, so yeah. But most of the time you'll just be using him because he has 2700 attack. So if you have a Pleiades on the field with no more XYZ materials, why not summon a stronger monster? And then if it survives for 1 turn, you can use his effect. So yeah, that is Ptolemy M7. That is it for the Constellar Xyz monsters. Now on to some other rank 5 monsters. We have Wind Up Arsenal Zenmaioh. Detach one XYZ material, target 2 set cards on the field, destroy them. A very good effect. 2600 attack, very decent. 100 more attack than standard 2500. Volcasaurus, detach one material, target your opponent's monster, destroy it, burn them for the original attack of that monster. And if you use this effect, Volcasaurus cannot attack directly that turn. But like all decks that run level rank 5 and rank 6 monsters, you can use Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger, just overlay it on top of any rank 5 or rank 6 monster, and then Gaia would be able to attack. Gaia also has 2600 attack and has piercing damage. And the standard play is you use Volcasaurus to destroy one of your opponent's monsters, burn them, overlay Volcasaurus into Gaia, and then go for the damage. That can potentially end the game right there. Then we have some rank 4s, Gaga Cowboy to finish things up with the 800 burn damage. Abyss Dweller to stop all graveyard shenanigans such as Burning Abyss, Shaddolls, whatnot. Star Leech Paladinamo requires 2 level 4 light monsters, detach 2 XYZ materials, target your opponent's monster, its attack becomes 0 and its effect is negated. And if Paladinamo is destroyed by your opponent either by battle or by card effect and sent to your graveyard, you draw 1 card. So it has also a defensive purpose. If you have nothing else going, go for Paladinamo. Hold on. 1 Silent Honor Arc, because it's still a great card. Detach 2 Xyz materials, target a face-up attack position special summon monster your opponent controls, and attach it to this card as an Xyz material. Also, if it would be destroyed, you can detach 1 XYZ material instead. So it has the function of absorbing your opponent's monsters, and also it can protect itself from destruction at least once. And last but not least, I feel as though these 2 cards need some special attention, and those are Stellar Knight Delteros and Stellar Knight Constellar Diamond. That's quite the mouthful. He is the real star because of his amazing effect. While he is on the field, neither player can mill cards or send cards from their deck to the graveyard, and any card that will return from the graveyard to the hand is banished instead. And during either player's turn, when a Dark Monster's effect is activated, you can detach 1 XYZ material, negate the activation, and destroy it. However, the downside is this requires 3 level 5 monsters to summon, which is very difficult even in this deck. But the other method you can summon him is during your main phase 2, you can just overlay this over any Satellar Knight monster. And that is Satellar Knight Delteros at the moment. Delteros requires 3 level 4 monsters to summon. Detach 1 XYZ material to pop a card on the field. But the Delteros is basically filler until I get a much better card that at the time of making this video is not yet released, but will be quite soon, and that card is Stellar Knight Ptolemy. Ptolemy requires 2 level 4 or more monsters to summon, so basically with any 2 level 4 monsters you could go into Diamond during your main phase 2. Also, Ptolemy has an additional effect, and that is during your end phase, you can attach 1 Stellar Knight monster from your extra deck to it as an Xyz material. And then during either player's turn, you can attach 3 XYZ materials, and then Ptolemy can rank himself up to any rank 5 monster that is not a number monster. So what does this mean? If we have 2 level 4 monsters, we make Ptolemy. Let's pretend this is Ptolemy for a second. During the end phase, we would attach this as the XYZ material. We would have 3 Xyz materials. Then during our opponent's turns, we detach those 3, and then we can go into Pleiades. And the following Pleiades would have only 1 Xyz material, but still it's what I call the emergency Pleiades and can save you sometimes. So yeah, once I get Ptolemy, Delteros will be out of this extra deck, but for the time being he is there to summon Constellar Diamond, also to pop cards. So yeah, that is it for the Constellar deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to reply. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later with more Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Bye bye.